Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ulrika. If this is your first time, then welcome, and if it's not, then welcome back. And welcome to another Ask Ully episode. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while, and I keep getting this one question over and over again. So today's video, I'm going to be dedicating it to the question of moisturizers and all about moisturizers, my thought on moisturizers. Should you use them? Should you not use them? And are they good for eczema, basically? So just to be clear here, I'm talking about moisturizers that are going on the body, not so much moisturizers that go on the face, because I do definitely use a moisturizer after I wash my face with makeup. But in terms, I'm talking more specifically about moisturizers that kind of go all over your body, body lotions basically. So just to let you know that I personally don't use body moisturizers ever anymore. Having said that, I used to use them all the time. It used to be the one thing that I would always have to put on after I had a shower. And I would find that if I didn't, my skin would get very, very dry. I'm not saying that my skin doesn't get dry now, it definitely still does, but the reason I kind of stopped using moisturizers was for the main reason that, in the same vein that I kind of stopped using lip balms, I think that if you use moisturizers too much, you're essentially communicating to your skin that it doesn't need to create its own moisture, because it will be getting it externally in some way or another. Having said this though, it's not all black and white. Actually, I lied earlier. Every now and again, if I'm finding that my skin is becoming very itchy for some reason, I will put some on, but it's very, very occasionally. And it's only sort of in as a more kind of protective, just to make sure that nothing comes back, rather than something that is I have to use regularly in order to keep my skin healthy, if that makes sense. And the reason I do this is because I want my skin to be able to produce its own moisture. And like I said before, if you use too much moisturizer, I have found that it doesn't really help my skin in the long term. And I've actually found that if I use moisturizers regularly, after a while, my skin actually just gets a bit drier. It gets drier. Maybe it's because of the type of moisturizers. Everyone always has a recommendation of a type of moisturizer to use, especially when it comes to eczema. I can actually show you the one that I do use very, very occasionally. I'll show you here. So this is the moisturizer. Oh, is that a bit bright? It's the Roche-Posay Lipicard Baume. It's French. And yeah, but actually somebody recommended this to me, and it's not been my favorite. It's a bit too thick for me, but I do still use it every now and again because I bought it and it was quite expensive, so I'm not gonna waste it. Having said that though, I do actually have one moisturizer that I can think of in mind, and it's the Cetaphil. Very sort of, it doesn't look very glamorous at all. It's just the kind of thing that you pick up in a pharmacy, but that's pretty good. And I actually found that that really did help my eczema back in the day when I was kind of healed from it. Now, let me go back to the sort of one of the key questions around this. So if you are in the process of healing yourself from eczema naturally, you're trying to, trying the lifestyle thing, you're trying the diet thing, should you stop using moisturizers is another question that I keep getting. I think what you should do, you don't need to stop using them altogether, even though that is what I did. I did stop using moisturizers altogether because, again, like I said, I just wanted to leave my skin alone. I think you can gradually start to sort of cut down on using them. Maybe, use them only after you've been in the shower, and slowly start trying it out to see what happens if you don't use it here and there. If it's sort of hideously dry, funnily enough, if it is hideously dry and you feel like it's cracking, I would actually say that that is when you probably shouldn't use moisturizer, because that means that your body is just not producing its own moisture. And some people are going to disagree with me on this, and some, I went to a doctor and a GP and they said you need to regularly moisturize in order to keep your skin sort of supple and keep it from cracking and that kind of thing. And it's like, yes, absolutely, in the near term, that is what you should be doing. But because my eczema, my dry skin was so chronic, that I knew that if I just continued using it, that eventually you get a kind of moisturizer addiction. In the same way that I had a lip balm addiction, my skin, for whatever reason, it has a hard time creating its own moisture, or at least retaining moisture when it has it there. So, an occasional bit of moisturizer here and there is okay, is actually quite good. When I say occasional, I mean maybe twice a week. That's what I mean, like really, really not very much. But if you're using it, every hour, for example, which is a few points I was using it every hour, I don't think that that's good, and I think that's when you need to start weaning off from it. That was just my opinion. Those are my thoughts on this topic. These are just, again, these are my experiences. If you have found something different, and remember, everyone's skin is different. If you are the kind of person that finds that actually you really need that moisturizer, and you know, once you've carried on using it for a few days, after a few days, your skin can produce moisture on its own, and then it's all fine and dandy, then that's what you should do. You know, again, I'm just telling you from what I know from my experience. It's very hard to give definitive answers on these things because skin is a very complicated organ and it is going to be different from person to person. But like I said, if you perhaps are similar to me where you need to constantly use moisturizer, then perhaps maybe give it a rest for a bit and see how it goes. So to summarize, let me break it down for you again. Basically, if you are using moisturizer all day, every day, and you're finding that it's still very dry, and as soon as the moisturizer evaporates off, you need to put more in it, that's when I think you should really stop using moisturizer. I can make another video about weaning off from moisturizer if you'd like me to, just leave a little cheeky comment. But having said that, an occasional bit of moisturizer here and there is quite nice, and it can do quite a lot of good, and is sometimes quite good, especially if you feel like something's coming on. Slapping on a bit of moisturizer sometimes helps to prevent that eczema becoming any worse than what it is. So those are my thoughts on that. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have a question for me as well, you can either post it down below or you can send me a message, a DM on Instagram. That's where I get most of my questions. I'm just at @naturally, and I'll see you again very soon for another video. Bye.